Another amazing episode of Tsumasho. Another gut-punching episode of Tsumasho. My gosh, the emotion in this episode was way too much. Just absolutely tore me up. Just the mom coming to that realization. Takae really getting memories of her life. Finally having those memories of Marika kind of jumping back into her mind and suddenly realizing, yeah, there was a time where we were happy. And that's the sad part of it. It's like there was a time where she was happy. There was a time where I was smiling. There was a time where I seen my mother actually smile. Ugh, the emotion. But I have to admit, being that I'm watching the anime and then reading the manga up until the point of the anime, I really did feel when I was watching this episode, this is going to be the point where Take, if she ever does, I kind of had this feeling that she's going to lose her memories. At some point, she's finally going to leave behind Take and just be nothing but Marika. I really felt like this was going to be the moment because I really didn't feel like they were going to actually convince this mom that she's a reincarnation. Now, granted, it's more of a belief in Japan, at least with the religions and whatnot, of the concept of reincarnation. This is an aspect of a lot of religions there. So it makes more sense they would actually believe it than, anybody else in another country or something like that, unless your country actually believes in that stuff. So I really felt like something was going to kind of throw a wrench in there, and it was suddenly they were going to be in that room together, and they're going to be talking about how, yeah, this is my wife, my late wife right here. And then suddenly out of nowhere, Take just turns as Marika and says, what are we doing here? Who are you? I don't know who you are. It would have been like just massive, like, oh my gosh, that would just ruin everything. But then I think the cops would be called. Keisuke would end up in jail, all that kind of stuff. I have to admit, as much as I love this episode, this is one of those rare cases where when I read the manga afterwards, I'm like, holy crap, the manga did it so much more better. And it's really just more of the fact that everything that I've been talking about with the skip content for this series so far has been kind of centered around a lot of like extra build up to learning about Take and her mother. And then the fact that for those that missed it, Mai has been looking into Take for a while, been looking into Marika and her mother. She heard from this guy that really badly wants to be Take's boyfriend, Takeru, finds out from him that yes, a lot of people are they feel that her mother is dangerous. So she's been learning about this for a while. And even this scene after, yes, Mike shows up and says, Dad, stop. You can't say that. When they go back home, she actually admits to him, yes, I've been looking into this mother for a while now. And yes, some people have said that she's dangerous. And this upsets him. Like, you knew this? You knew that she's dangerous, but you won't do anything? And it's like, well, we can't. Like, you can't just come up there and say, she's a reincarnation of my mom and I want her back. Or you can't go to the police and say she's a reincarnation and she's being abused. Like there's steps to this. Like you can't just jump out there and do that. So there's a lot of kind of buildup here. But it all culminates to Keisuke, in the manga at least, being confronted by the mother. And she asks, what is your relationship to my daughter? And them two alone, Keisuke rips into her. Absolutely rips into her. Now you get a sense from the anime that happens. Like he's literally saying, you're not treating her right and all this stuff, and I will take her from you. I will take her from you. Like we all admit that's going to be a little more difficult than just saying that. It's going to be a process to get her. But no, what he basically does is everything like I've mentioned before that's been skipped, it's all culminating. I learned from people, that you're a dangerous person. You can't treat children like this, all this kind of stuff. And additionally getting into, once again, do you really love your daughter? Do you like your daughter? I know from people that you're a single mother. Is she too much of a burden for you? Is there enough space in your mind to have your daughter in it? Have her present in your life? And yes, getting into the sports festival. Did you go to the sports festival? No, I don't think you went to the sports festival. Do you know what she did? Did you know that they won the relay because of Marika? And Marika's efforts won that relay for them. Did you hear about that? Oh, you must have been busy. That's fine. You were probably busy. That's understandable. Did you talk to her afterwards? Did you find out from her afterwards? Have you seen her smile lately? Have you seen her laugh lately? You know why I know so much about your daughter? It's because when we're together, when our family is together with Marika, she talks a lot. She loves talking, and she loves laughing. She does it all the time. Have you seen her laugh? Have you seen her smile? I have. There's a problem here. There's a disconnect here. And it was like, oh my gosh, that whole scene with him just ripping into this mom, and she literally has nothing to say. I mean, she fires back like, you don't know me. And it's like, yeah, that's right. I don't know you. But I know your daughter because she talks a lot. She likes talking. Does she talk a lot with you? It really is kind of digging in that idea. And again, it's expressed in the anime, and the idea that she keeps asking, and it was all because she's seen her in that brief moment. Who are they to you? And why do you talk different around them? Why are you so different? Are you my daughter? She's having this conundrum in her head that, who is this girl? This can't be my daughter. What happened? Who are you? What are you? Are you still my daughter? Am I still your mom? That's a heavy conflict that she's having this entire time. But again, everything else kind of lays out the same. It's just really kind of everybody getting their own moment to really discuss this whole situation. Like Mai is hanging out with Moria and her friends and talking about this idea of like an abusive person. They're all trying to find out what's happened to Marika. They're all wanting to know what's happened to her. She's safe. Nobody can get a hold of her because the phone's not there. You know, you have all these characters are all kind of having their moment of really kind of struggling over, what do we do? And yes, especially Keisuke, because he's like, my wife, or this Marika, Take. And it's really kind of just centered around the idea that Keisuke, overall, it doesn't really bring up the idea of my wife. Yes, he calls her Take, but most of the time it's really just an aspect that Keisuke does not like an abusive mother. He doesn't like the idea of a child being abused. That's really the key thing here. Like Keisuke this entire time is very not okay with abuse. Not okay with the abuse of a child. That's why he keeps contacting Take. Well, Take actually contacts him through Takeru. This boy that really badly wants to be his girlfriend. Gets his cell phone, asks him if he can borrow it, and says, okay, and calls everybody up and tells everybody that she's okay, long before she gets her phone back. And she's telling everybody it's okay. That's where you have Keisuke kind of saying, you know, you can give up. You know, you can just step away from there. I know this is very important to you to be, you know, there as a blood relative, like being that role and everything, but you don't have to put yourself in danger. And it's really her kind of assuring them, no, I've seen how far my mother's scolding goes. I know how far she'll go. She didn't hit me. She didn't strike me. And we see it in this episode. Like, she gets that close. She gets that point where she's just about to where her mother was and always stops. It's so gut-wrenching. It's like, any case, like, again, like I think I stated last episode's impressions, like, as much as it's like, okay, but this is Take in the body of a child, it still hits. The idea of abusing a child still hits. Just seeing Take just flinching for a brief moment. And it really kind of puts a lot of emphasis in the idea that she's not flinching in a lot of cases. And that's really something that the mother does see at some point. She realizes, yeah, that's one of the things that sort of makes her realize this is actually a person that's reincarnated into my child's body. And the idea that she went to go strike her, but she didn't flinch. She looked up at her and accepted it. It's like it's not really a face of a child that's about to be hit. That does kind of click a little thing in her mind. Super, super, super gut-wrenching. The whole thing is super gut-wrenching. I think I've pretty much covered everything that was skipped. I think that besides, again, getting everybody's perspectives on the situation, really having Keisuke really rip into the mom, and yes, kind of moving things around. They shifted a lot of stuff around this whole scenario. Other than that, it was pretty much on point. I think overall, this episode is really getting into the mother's head, getting the idea that she has this trauma of her own life. And it's really that sad reality of people that, despite the fact that they have abuse in their life when they were younger, they sort of carry it over to their children. For a lot of people, it becomes sort of their natural reaction is to mimic what they did. And as much as she wanted to fight against it, things just didn't go right in her life, and it led her down this really dark path, which is super unfortunate. But the light at the end of the tunnel is the fact that in the end, she finally remembers how much she loves her daughter. Her daughter is reminded how much she loves her mother. And they finally are able to come together. Finally having those memories coming back of just hanging out together. And it's all in that photo. I think that photo is a nice little kind of wake-up call there. That, look, here's where we were happy. Remember this moment? And I think she kind of recalled it back when she was talking to her ex-boyfriend at this point. That she did have this hope for at least having a happy family. Not that I need to have some crazy family that everybody looks up to, but just be happy. Just be comfortable. So it doesn't have to be an amazing family. Just a happy family. That's all I want. I don't want what my mother had. And it's really kind of sad to see that whole little flashback of seeing her. She was trying hard just like Take did. She was trying hard just like her daughter Marika did, trying to clean up the house, make something for her mother. And again, having those flashbacks. I did the same thing. She made that omelet for me, and I pushed it away. I did exactly what my mother did. And realizing through, yes, again, what Keisuke says, showing her that she's being an abusive mother, having that lady at her work kind of pressing in there, get yourself figured out. examine yourself, think first about how you feel, then go to her. Then having Marika get sick, and then she's having to take care of her, nurse her back together. All those things build up to realizing, yeah, I messed up, and yeah, I kind of still want this. And yes, sort of presented with a way out. There is a lot of emphasis here that Keisuke is giving her a way out. Don't worry. It's okay. I'll take her. I'll handle this. You don't have to worry. I heard that you're a single mother. I'm giving you an out. You don't have to burden yourself with this child. I'll take care of her. I'll handle it. Don't worry. Just give her over to me. We'll take care of her. She's much happier here. And it's so great that despite all those openings and realizing that she's different and realizing there's an option out and realizing how much she just seems like she doesn't want to give Take any attention, she still chooses that she wants to keep that child. She still, in the end, after all this, loves her child and wants to have her around. She remembers back to all those moments that she loved being with Marika. And then her at the very end saying that she's her mom. It's super good. It is super, super good. Great stuff here. I think I covered everything. I think I pretty much got all my feelings out in this entire episode. It just kind of flows. Yeah, there was even a brief moment in the manga where she almost pushed Marika to go. Because this is like right where it's building up to Marika getting sick. And it's right after Keisuke ripped into her. She actually goes to her bedroom and says, hey, I met with that old man again. And man, he ripped into me. I was speechless. I really couldn't say anything. He was a mere stranger, was just ripping into me. It's fine. What is your relationship with him? Tell me directly. Oh, you won't say anything. Once again, she won't say anything. Well, fine then. Go. Must suck dealing with a mother like me. Go live with them. Like she literally at that point says, go. It's fine. But then she gets sick and then she takes care of her and realizes that she wants to take care of her and she's the picture and everything's fine. One other thing I forgot to talk about. Take talking to Keisuke. It's kind of rearranged once again in the anime versus the manga, but still the same context here. The little scene where in the anime it's raining and they're standing before each other and she's still sick. And again, Keisuke is basically saying, you don't have to do this. I think it's extremely powerful, again, how Take sort of puts that whole thing. Keisuke is giving her the out, saying you don't have to burden this. And then in the end, she knows full well that's not right. You can't understand her in just one meeting. I think this is sort of the more interesting conundrums that Take herself has. And that's really the reason why I love this series so much. It's not really so much about Keisuke and Mai and everybody else for me. Yes, a lot of the story around Marika's mother is a struggle. But I think the cool stuff has always been what is in Take's mind when it comes to being this other person. That struggle that still comes in the end that, yes, she loves being her old self. She loves the fact that she can go back to her family and help them out and everything. They even get into that a little bit in this episode. The idea of I just plan on going over there and helping them out a little bit. That was really all it was. But really what the struggle is here is if she does have her memories of her previous life and she doesn't have the memories of Marika, why would she even care to be with his mom? Why? It's still important to her because in the end, she is this lady's daughter. In the end. I mean, it's just the same as saying if Mai suddenly had the memories of her previous life, would Take want her to run off and leave her behind? She still, in the end of the day, still recalls that she is blood related to this lady, that this lady raised me, and that in the end, she's important. And this is something that she's saying before she finds the photo. Before she even finds the photo that spurs all these memories of her. That's important. That in the end, despite not having these memories, it's still important to acknowledge, yes, that's the right choice for Take, that I go and run off with you guys, but it's not the right choice for Marika. She still feels like she has a responsibility to the body that she's in. I mean, that's a conundrum that you can end up having. This idea that, yes, if out of nowhere, suddenly out of nowhere, you suddenly recall all the memories of your previous life. Do you just abandon the life of the person that you're in the body of? That seems wrong in a sense. And it really goes to everything that's built up to now, that Take constantly wants to make this relationship work with the mother. She keeps trying. She knows how hard this lady's working. Yes, she's a flawed lady. She's super flawed and super nasty, but she still wants to make it right. Again, even before she gets her memories back. It's crazy. It's bold. Something I don't even feel that I would have the courage to do. But yeah, I do have to feel like it helped a little bit reading the manga, but I do feel like the whole scene with convincing the mom was a little That's a little too easy. That was a little too easy. There's a little bit of extra context in the manga and the idea that she keeps recalling all these things that really does piece together for her. And it's obviously the idea that, yes, you realize that your daughter had changed at some point at this one specific time. Yeah, she acknowledges it. She acknowledges all these scenes, all these discussions, all these looks that Take gave her, or Marika gave her. She made so many different types of foods that her daughter shouldn't know how to make. It all kind of connects, and that's the moment where she looks over at her daughter and suddenly sees the image of a mom. Not that she knows what Take looks like, it's just that she's getting an image of a woman sitting there, not her daughter. She's seeing a woman there. The way that Marika is looking at me, again, is something that she keeps questioning. You look different, you're acting different. She's acknowledging, all right, like everything is starting to click right here, that this person that's been sitting in front of me, standing next to me, talking to me every day, how she looks again when I went to slap her. And she didn't flinch. She was looking at me like a mature woman. She was looking at me not as a child. And I think that's what all kind of connects there. Not just simply them saying, well, yeah, she knows a lot of stuff about them. People that wouldn't know outside of our family. She knows so much stuff. And then Maya over there going, yeah, she definitely has that warmth of my mother. Again, I don't think that stuff would really convince somebody, but it's kind of a culmination of all these thoughts. And again, especially the fact that she's acknowledging, yeah, Marika changed back here. And ever since then, she's looked like a mature woman. She's acted like a mature woman. She's talked like a mature woman. She's cooking like a mature woman. It's all these things that are all piecing together. But it is kind of interesting to see that she would be willing to still not see her daughter as a freak. And still see, despite the fact that she has these memories of a previous life, still see her as a daughter, as somebody that she can raise, as she would feel that she could be a mother to this person. But again, that goes back to just simply having Take say, yeah, you're my mom. It's okay. So good. Anyways, I think I talked about this episode to death. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know what's thought of the episode. If you want to check out the manga, at least the scene with Keisuke, it was chapter 41. That scene alone, I think people, if you have time, go read that one chapter. It's just super good. It was super good. But additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. Like this content, you want to support channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, y'all take care.